Welcome back to the channel. We're here today and we're back with the Wrexham AFC Transfer Roundup. Today we have got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about an official signing of the club, that we're going to be talking about his grand return to Wrexham. We're going to be talking about potential departures for a youngster, for a player that's played such a big role over the rise of Wrexham Football Club up the Football League in the past couple of years. And we're also going to be talking about a potential signing as we go into the final few days of the transfer window. So before we get going in today's video, I cannot thank you enough for hitting 29,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you enough for all the support you've shown the channel over the past couple of months over the summer. So yeah, again, thank you so much for that. Let's try and hit 350 likes on today's video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the player that I'm going to be talking about first. Fans' favourite Issa Kaboré has returned to Wrexham Football Club on a permanent deal from Premier League side Manchester City on a fee in the region of £2 million. Now this deal for Kaboré could rise to £4.75 million if certain criteria is met. Now in hindsight, a lot of Wrexham fans are looking at this, and at the start of the summer it was, would Wrexham go back in for Issa Kaboré to be that starting right wing back, or would we go for another option? We have ended the transfer window with Danny Imre, a very good right wing back, and then just to put the cherry on top, we've added Issa Kaboré into the mix for depth and competition. I have no complaints at all, and in hindsight it's a signing that makes so much sense and it had so much quality down that right hand side for us. We all know about Issa Kaboré last season in a Wrexham shirt, a few inconsistent performances here and there, but in the general stay at the club for Kaboré, I thought he was really good. His energy down that right hand side was unmatched in the starting lineup. Down that right hand side last season, 8 assists, 38 successful crosses, 29 successful dribbles. It's clear why Phil Parkinson loves Kaboré, and it's clear why we've wanted to bring him back into the football club. You know, seeing him come back for, I think, a really good deal, firstly of £2 million, which could rise, but I think it makes you appreciate the depth that we do have in that right wing back role now. Having Kaboré coming on for Danny Imre for the last 30 minutes of the game, you know, as soon as the left wing back thinks, oh, I've got rid of Danny Imre, his explosive play down that right hand side, consistent crosses, consistent taking on his man. Nope, Kaboré's going to come onto the pitch, just take him on immediately, put those crosses into the box, and I think that will be a big game changer for Wrexham, because they'll go hand in hand, they'll push each other so much in training to be that starting right wing back, and whether it's vice versa, whether it's Kaboré starting the 70 minutes and Danny Imre coming on for the last 30, whatever left wing back is coming up against those two is in for a long day. So I think Kaboré coming into the club is not one to be sat on the bench every single week. He's not coming in to be a backup. He is coming in to be important competition to Imre. He's coming in to be what he was last season, a starting right wing back, getting those 8 assists, getting those good performances in a Wrexham shirt. And like I said, for an initial £2 million fee, I don't think there'll be too many complaints on his return to the club. He's proven himself at Wrexham. He's had a couple of really good performances for us. I think now it's about consistency, getting him to be an established championship right wing back. Of course, he's had 7 loan spells in his career already, so I'm sure he'll be really appreciative of getting a permanent home for Wrexham on a 3-year deal. He can really kick on now and hopefully have some very good performances this season. But one thing I would say, just don't put him on the front post from a corner. Talking on a potential departure next, and we're going to be talking about youngster Harry Ashfield. Now there is a lot of talk about the young Welsh under-21 international. If we're looking at the clubs interested in making a late move for him, Peterborough United, Barnsley, Rotherham United, Gillingham and St Mirren have all made official bids for the youngster. Now for his development's sake, I think Harry Ashfield, we know it, he's shown it in the first team a couple of times. For his development and for his potential career at Wrexham, I think he'll be pushing for a move, and I think it is important that we do see Harry Ashfield get a move higher up the English pyramid in the next couple of days for game time, for development. He's got so much potential. We know the potential he has. We saw him score away at Preston in the Carabao Cup. We've seen him play against some really high quality teams in pre-season, really holding his own. So I think a loan higher up the pyramid, like I said, last season he was on loan at Cheltenham Town in League 2, did really well there. I think a move to League 1 would be a sensible solution for him. In terms of player development, I don't think you're looking any further past Peterborough United. League 1 side, yes, they didn't do too well last season, but in terms of development's sake for youngsters, you couldn't count on 2 hands the amount of youngsters that they've signed and have developed to be really top quality players, whether it's in England or whether they've gone abroad and get some higher moves. So I think that's the best option for him. Given their track record, of course, it makes so much sense for Wrexham to look at this situation and think, look, we've got a couple of years left on his contract, let's loan him out to Peterborough United, get his development just incredibly high in a good environment where players have thrived there in the past, getting back to Wrexham, having had some really important first team action in a very competitive league, and assessing from there. So I think if we are looking at Peterborough as well, I think it does just speak for itself. They've reportedly sent in 3 official offers for Harry Ashfield. All offers, I believe, are permanent offers. So whether Wrexham are holding off in terms of, potential squad thinning and going into the past couple of days of the transfer window and not wanting to lose players if they're not guaranteed to get players in, and potentially with injuries as well in that central midfield role, they might be holding off for that. I think a loan move would make sense. I think it'd be one that we would come to regret if we did let Ashfield go on a permanent deal, but I think he's an incredible footballer and he deserves the game time that he does get wherever he does go in the next couple of days of the transfer window. Like I said, at this moment in time, loan him out, assess him at the end of the season when he comes back to the club, and then we can go from there. Talking on a potential signing next. Now, the saga for a new centre-back at Wrexham Football Club looks like it's coming to an end, and it's not the end that I'm sure a lot of fans wanted to hear and were hoping for. Wrexham have officially opened talks with Leicester City over the signing of centre-back Harry Souttar. The Foxes are valuing him at £10 million. Yes, 10. They want an 8-figure fee for an injury-prone centre-back who's had a couple of really bad performances in League One in the first couple of games. That price tag has reportedly put a few clubs off. A couple of clubs were circling around the potential signing of Souttar. We saw Sheffield United really pursuing him. A £7.5 million fee looks set to be agreed between the two clubs before Sheffield United went into a bit of limbo in terms of their ownership, and I don't think they'll be signing any permanent players for a big of a fee as that anytime soon. So it looks like Wrexham are the ones that have fallen into this ludicrous trap. Wrexham is set to pay £10 million for a centre-back. Now, I think on his day when fit, which is very rare for Harry Souttar, and that's no fault of his own, of course, you can't control injuries, but I think he's had 2 really serious injuries, 2 ACL injuries. On his day, he's a very solid centre-back. I do think he is a good centre-back, but that day doesn't come very often because we just don't see him. We don't see him enough to warrant him to be a top defender in the Championship. And in my opinion, if I was looking at this situation at the start of the summer, if we wanted Harry Souttar, I would be paying £4 million max. I wouldn't be going out there and paying £10 million. It's just laughable because I think we could get so many more options. We're looking at Henrik Falconer, who is playing for Viking. We'll get talking on that later in the video, but a young defender, it's worth just putting £3 or £4 million to get a young defender in who's proven himself in some big leagues, has played a lot of football under his belt. But Leicester City demanded an 8-figure fee for a player that's only completed 2 full seasons. Yes, he's turning 28 in October, and Harry Souttar has only played for 2 full seasons in his professional career. It is just something that Wrexham should have heard that on the phone. Leicester City saying, we want £10 million. Wrexham should have laughed and just hung up the phone immediately, because it is just a laughable situation. How can you be demanding a £10 million fee for a player that's set to go into a League One season? Yes, he missed the whole of last season in the Championship, and would they have gone down if Souttar was fit? I'm not too sure, but again, it's a League One club. How are you demanding £10 million for a nearly 28-year-old centre-half who has only played a handful of appearances in the past couple of seasons? It is just one that does make you question the recruitment at Wrexham. I would just like to say as well, my issue isn't with Souttar at all. He's been very unfortunate with injuries, of course, 2 ACLs over the past couple of years, and he's got all my respect for working back to full fitness and, becoming a player that's worked hard to get to the World Cup, and I have a lot of admiration for that because I can imagine it's not easy. I can imagine it's quite a lonely place at times, so my concern isn't with that, but he's not coming in to be a starter. He is not coming into this Wrexham system and this Wrexham squad to be a starter week in, week out, and in all honesty, I don't think he has the qualities to be a starter in a team that is pushing for promotion to the Premier League. I don't think he's any better of an option than Dan Scar. Yes, Dan Scar's 31, Harry Souttar's 28. I just can't see him being a top centre-back in the Championship, and I think it is a really risky move for Wrexham, of course. An ACL injury, it doesn't tend to happen more than twice in a player's career. I think 2 is completely unlucky enough, so I don't think we'd have to worry about him potentially doing his ACL again. It's just about whether he's lost that yard of pace, he's lost that quality that he once had from missing 2.5, 3 years out through action. It is just one that I do think Wrexham should be questioning. I think it does scream of Wrexham having maybe 2 or 3 targets ahead of him, not getting those targets in, and Harry Souttar is the easiest one to get across the line because they know Leicester City are willing to sell. Yes, they've got a big price tag, but if Wrexham meet that price tag, there won't be any issues in terms of negotiations, wages, etc., bonuses. So I'm a bit concerned if Wrexham do go through with this signing because it would make him the club's record transfer, and is that something to boast about? I'm not too sure. And of course, if we were talking about about Henrik Falkiner earlier in the video, with Viking qualifying for the Champions League group stage, which is a complete and utter bummer for Wrexham because we were pursuing Falkiner. We put 3 official bids in for him. I think that deal is proven to be very difficult. I believe Wrexham is still monitoring the situation of Falkiner, and there is a very good chance that Wrexham go back in the next 5 or 6 days for him, but I think it's going to prove to be very difficult to lure him from a team that's going to be playing against some massive teams in the European stage, on the biggest stage of world football, to come and play at Lincoln away. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And finishing off the video with a potential departure, and it is of Elliot Lee. Now, a departure in the next few days for Elliot Lee is 100% going to happen. There's clubs interested in him. It's a decision now for Elliot Lee to pick what club he'll end up at. Parky's confirmed there are a number of different clubs interested in him, and it's down to Elliot Lee to find which environment is best for him to thrive in this season. Now, if I was looking at Elliot Lee and his agent's sake, I would be thinking we can get a League One move. We went to Doncaster Rose on loan last season. In my opinion, I think they'll be going back in for him. He had a lot of good words to say about manager Grant McCann, so a reunion could be on the cards for them, but I think there'll be a host of League One clubs. You're looking at Burton Albion, the type of clubs that Wrexham have done history with before, so yeah, I think a move could be well on the cards for Elliot Lee. Whether it's a loan, whether it's a permanent, I would sway to it more being a permanent move, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front, but it's a guarantee that we're going to see Elliot Lee leave the club. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to drop a like, get down there as well and click the red subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've talked about in today's video, and until the next one, take care guys, up the Championship Reds.